How's it going, everyone? Mark from READYDOOR here, co-designer and inventor of the READYDOOR product. So today I'm just going to give you a rundown on what the product is and how the product works and what to look for when you go to your local builder providers or hardware store. So this is the READYDOOR frame kit. It comes in a 78 and an 80-inch pack. The pack is fully machined, fully reversible and fully primed. It comes with the required ironmongery and fixings. You then have the double head. The double head is fully machined, fully primed, comes with the required fixings and ironmongery also. You add the double head pack to the single pack to make your double door, but we'll get into that later on. And then last but not least, we have the READYDOOR Jig. So all the machining for all your ironmongery on your double doors and your single doors is on this one jig. You don't need to be pulling 3 and 4 jigs out of the van. All the measurements correspond with the frame. I'll get into that in more detail. I'll show you how it works and I'll show you how to install the ironmongery. So now that you've got your kit to site and you've opened it, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on what is in it. Okay, so you have your 2 styles that are fully machined and fully reversible. Okay, you have your head. The head can take any door from 24-inch up to 34-inch and any door in between that's on the market. You have your liners. So the liner allows you to extend the frame to use in 3 different wall scenarios. So you can use it on a 3-inch stud wall, a 4-inch stud wall, or a 4-inch block wall. If you don't want to use them, you can discard them. They're just there as an option, so you don't have to buy 2 different size frames when you go to the store. And then you have your doorstops. So again, they're in the pack and they're fully primed, as you can see. Right, so what else in the pack? You have your ironmongery. So you have 3 high quality hinges, as you can see. They're very good high quality hinges. They're perfectly machined to fit in. There's no discrepancies. You have a good high quality lock. And you have your receiver and back box that, again, it's fully machined, fits perfectly into the cutout on the frame. You also have all the required fixings to assemble and install the product. And then you have 6 fully adjustable metal packers. So these are, instead of timber wedges that will shrink over time and more than likely fall out of the frame. So these metal packers are fully adjustable with an Allen key and they make installation far quicker. So the frame. Receiver on this side, fully reversible to hinges. Hinges on this side, fully reversible to receiver. So I'll show you how this works. As you can see, the hinges are on my left side and the receiver is on my right. If I want to change the handing of the door, all I have to do is turn the styles 180 degrees. Left becomes right, right becomes left. Fully reversible door frame. I'll show you that again. Left becomes right, right becomes left. So now you have a fully machined, fully primed, fully reversible door frame. So now that you have your double head on site, you add your double head to your single pack to make your double frame. So what's in the double head pack? You have your frame extender, you have your doorstop, and you have your frame. So your head. Your head is machined and primed for 2 24-inch doors all the way up to 2 34-inch doors and any combination in between. It can take a 24-inch door on one side and a 34-inch door on the other side. On the other side, it is machined for a fully reversible receiver that allows you to have the dead leaf on the left or the dead leaf on the right, and all that machining is done for you. You also get in your pack, you get your additional 3 hinges that you require. You get your packer, your screws, you get your 2 high quality flush bolts, and you get your receiver. So this is the reversible receiver that allows you to turn the door from a dead leaf on the left to a dead leaf on the right. Your single frame. You have your hinges and you have your receiver. You want to turn it into a double door, you just take the receiver style and turn it 180, and now you have 2 styles with hinges on them. So all you have to do is add your head to your styles and you have a double frame. So now I'm going to show you the READYDOOR Jig. So this jig is designed by ourselves. You won't get it anywhere else. It's a READYDOOR product. It works perfectly with all the ironmongery that is supplied in the READYDOOR kit. So you don't need to be pulling 3 and 4 jigs out of the van. So I'll go through this jig with you and show you how it works. So the top of the jig is marked with a 78 or an 80, and so is the bottom because it's fully reversible. So how it works is you keep the top of the jig flush with your 80-inch door where it says 80 or 78, so we're going to go with an 80 here for the explanation. You keep the 80-inch flush with the top of your door and the side flush with the side of your door. And you router out your hinge slots with your 16mm collet and your 12mm router bit. They will be perfectly machined to match the ironmongery that's in the READYDOOR pack. That will also match the recesses in the frame. So there's no discrepancies, no errors. Same with the 78, depending on what size door you're using. You can also do your lock faceplate. So lock faceplate is engraved in here. So again, it's the same principle. You keep this flush with the top of your 78 or your 80-inch door, and you use these slots. These are your centering slots. So they're 44mm, which is the thickness of a standard door, and you keep that centered on the door. You can put a sliding square or your fingers down there, and again, you can machine out your lock faceplate. That's done with a 16mm collet and a 12mm router bit again. All the machining is done with a 16mm collet and a 12mm router bit. So the only thing you have to change is your depths. So that's your faceplate done, and your hinges done on your single door. So the same principle applies to your double doors with the hinges and with the faceplate. The difference with this jig is it also does the flush bolt. So you ignore the measurements on the top. You take the bottom line of the letter T and you keep that flush with the top of your door. You then take your centering slots and you center it perfectly on your door. So again, the bottom line of your T is flush with the top of your door and the centering slot. That now enables you to router out the receiver that's in the READYDOOR kit perfectly. There'll be no discrepancies, okay? Now you go on to the receiver on the double door. So there's two measurements here corresponding with the door heights. So you have a 78-inch door or an 80-inch door. So we're using an 80-inch door in our demonstration. So that measurement is 951. From the top of the door, and we put a pencil line on where that lands. We now line that pencil line up with the letter A, which is this side of the recess, okay? So how we know that the jig is the right way around is the flush bolt needs to overhang the head of the door, okay? So I'll say that again. To make sure the jig's the right way around, the flush bolt part of the router jig has to overhang the top of the door, okay? Now that that's overhanging the top of the door, you've lined up pencil mark with the letter A. You can, and centered it using the recess slots here. You can now go ahead and machine. And again, it's a 16mm collet with a 12mm router. The only thing you have to change is the thickness of your plunge, because all the ironmongery is different thicknesses. And that's the READYDOOR jig. Everything you need for a double door or a single door is all on this one jig. All the machining, and it's all perfectly matches up with all the ironmongery. Now that we've decided what style is going to be our hinge side, we'll fit our adjustable packer. I prefer to personally fit the adjustable packer before I assemble the frame. I find it a lot easier and quicker, especially if you have it on a flat surface. So, firstly, I'm going to fit the outer leaf of the adjustable packer. I prefer to wind it in till it's flush with the back side of the frame, because that gives me more play for adjustments going forward. After I've fitted this, and I'm fitting it with a large Allen key, now you might have the parts for a cordless, which will increase your speed, but you can use an Allen key. Once I have that in flush, I fit my inner part. You use a smaller Allen key. That is the part you use to adjust the frame in or out against the surface of your stud. So I wind that in separately. Now that we've fitted all our adjustable packers, we're going to prepare our head. So we're using a 32-inch door. The head is fully adjustable from 34 inches down to 24 inches. So we know that we want to use the 32-inch, which is the holes next to the 34 inches. All the holes are at 2-inch centers. So I need to finish off the pre-drilling of the holes. The pre-drill bit comes with your pack, so all you need to do is have your cordless. So I'm going to pre-drill the 6 holes. The holes will line up with the pre-drilled stiles. All the stiles are pre-drilled at the top so that the screw holes will line up perfectly and keep the 6mm margin plus the thickness of your door. Now that they're pre-drilled, I will assemble the frame. The screws, again, they come in the pack. Now, as you can see, the screws are going in extremely easy because all the holes are pre-drilled in the stiles, like I stated. And now I have a fully Assembled, fully machined, fully primed door frame made in record time, and all I do now is get a handsaw and cut off my waste. So now that you've assembled your frame and you've moved on to your door, I'm going to show you how the jig works. So this is a single door and it's an 80-inch. So we're going to use the 80-inch side of the door of the jig. So we're going to keep the top of it flush with the top of the door, and we're going to keep the side where the hinges are routed out flush with the side of the door. Okay, so there's 3 screws down the length of it. I'm going to fit 3 screw holes. I'm going to fit the 3 screws. This allows me to make sure the hinges are all consistent. Now, because the frame is reversible, that's flush on the bottom as well. Okay, now I have a router. So this has a 16mm collet with a 12mm cutter bit in it, and these are all perfectly machined to work with this system. So I'm going to router these out now. Now that I've fully machined out all my hinges and I've pre-drilled them and fitted the hinges, I'm going to turn the door over and I'm going to show you how to use the jig on the faceplate for the lock. So now that you've routed out your hinges and you've fitted your hinges, we've turned the door over and we're going to do the faceplate. So again, the principle's the same. You're going to hold the 80-inch mark to the bottom of the door, okay? And now you're going to line the slots. So those slots are 44mm thick, which is the thickness of a standard door, okay? So how we're going to do it? We're going to keep the 80-inch flush at the bottom. We're going to sight the door through the slots, okay? If you want, you can put an edge of a sliding square or something down there, but I can get my fingers in there, so that is perfectly flush on both sides, and it's flush on the bottom. So I'm going to fix it in the screws that are holes that are allocated. Okay, you only need 2 screws on this. There are 4 down the yoke, but the others are for the flush bolt. So I fitted my 2 screws now. So that's perfectly centered and perfectly flush on the end there. So now all I have to do is router it. So again, the same 16mm collet with a 12mm router bit. The only thing I've done now is I've changed my depth, because obviously the faceplate is a different depth than the hinge. I've changed that, and now I'm going to router out my faceplate. So now that we've routed out our faceplate and we've removed our jig, I'm just going to mark the body of the lock, and we're going to have to take that out with an auger bit. Okay, so I usually just sit it on the door like that and sight the two ends with what has been machined. Little flick with my pencil down either side of the lock. Okay. Door's 44 mil, so the center's obviously 22. Little flick, and I'm just going to use my finger to run a line down there, and that's me there. I'm going to take that out now with a 18 mil auger bit, and that'll be my lock fitted. So now that you've done your single door and you've moved on to your double door, the routing of the hinges is the same as a single door, so you know how to do that. So we're going to move on to the flush bolt and the double door receiver, and they're both on the one door. So you've got your double door receiver clearly engraved into the jig, and the heights that you need to require depending on your door height. You have your flush bolt, which again is clearly engraved into it, so you can't make a mistake. So you forget about the 78 and the 80, and what you do is you keep the bottom line of your T, which is this line here, flush with the top or bottom of the door, depending on what flush bolt you're fitting. Okay, and again, to center it, you're using the slot system that you used when you're fitting your faceplate for your lock. Okay, so the T is perfectly flush there, my finger's in there. My receivers, my slots are very good there, so that's fine. So now I'm going to screw it on with the allocated holes that are in the jig for the flush bolt. There's two of them there. Again, perfectly lined up, perfectly centered. Screw that down, and we're good to go. So again, I'm going to go with my router. Same router, 16 mil collet, 12 mil router bit. The only thing that's changed since I've done my faceplate is I've changed my plunge because my flush bolt is slightly thicker than the faceplate on the lock. So now I'm going to router that out. Like I said to you again, it's perfectly flush with the T. I'm good to go. Okay, now that we've done our flush bolts, we're going to do the double door receiver. So the double door receiver is clearly marked on the jig. Depending on the door size, you're going to go with either a 78 or an 80, and again, it's clearly engraved on the jig. We have an 80-inch door, so we're going to go with the measurement 951. So we're taking 951 from the top of the door. I've already marked it on the door, 951, and we're going to line that pencil mark up with the letter A. To ensure the jig is the correct way around, the flush bolt jig needs to overhang the top of the door, okay? That now will mean you're in the correct position. So, I've lined up the letter A with my pencil mark. My flush bolt is overhanging the top of my door, okay? That's very important, okay? Now, to center it, I'm using the slots that we did for the flush bolt and the lock faceplate, okay? That's perfectly flush. My A is lined up with my pencil, and to ensure I'm in the right position, my flush bolt is overhanging the top of the door. So now I'm going to fix that, okay? So, fix that to my door. I can put my fingers in there to ensure it's flush. I need 2 screws, so that's nice and flush there now. Now I'm going to router it out with my router. So, again, the only thing that's changed on my router is my plunge depth. I'm still using a 16 mil collet with a 12 mil cutter. I've just changed the plunge depth because the faceplate on the flush bolt is thicker than the faceplate on the receiver, okay? That's the only thing that's changed. So now that we've our frame fully made, we're going to bring it to our ope, and now I'm going to show you how to fit the frame, fit the doorstop, and fit the liner if required. Okay, so got to fit the frame. So we've chosen to have our frame opening into the room. Okay, so to start off with, I have adjusted these packers out by about 6 mil, just to give me a starting point on the hinge side only. That's what I've done so far, okay? So that's giving me a starting point, okay? To center it up within my ope, okay? So I'm going to keep the hinge side of the frame flush with the plasterboard, and I'm going to put my first screw in. I'm not going to drive it home, but I'm going to put it in a little snug, okay? So that's in snug now. Now I'm going to check my head to make sure it's level. If it's not level, you're going to have to use a packer to adjust whatever style needs to be adjusted to level up your head. Your head has to be level when you're fitting your door, okay? So my head is level. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so my next screw is going to be on my receiver side. So again, I'm going to pull my frame over till it's flush with the plasterboard on my side, okay? I'm only going to snug it up because I haven't adjusted my packer yet, okay? So now I'm going to go back to my hinge side and I'm going to adjust this frame to get it nice and plumb, okay? So I'm going to get it plumb on the hinge side, okay? And I'm going to put a little mark on the ground just to keep that there so I know where I'm working with. I'm then going to adjust it this way. Okay, so that's got to go in a tiny bit, so I'm just going to give that a little tap in. Okay. So, now that I'm in the right position, I'm going to put a mark on the floor, and I'm going to adjust my metal packer accordingly. So that's got to go in 1 or 2 turns. There we go. I'm going to put a screw in that. Now, I'm not going to do the middle one yet. I'm going to leave the middle one until I have my door up, okay? There's no point in doing that and then having to change it later, okay? So we're going to put that one in when we know the top and bottom are 100% right and my door is swinging. So that again is in, it's snugged up, it's not solid. We can fine tune that later. Now, we're going to make sure that this side is plumb. Okay, so that's got a little bit of adjustment there. I'm just tapping that over with my boot. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put a little mark on the floor, again, just to highlight that in case it moves again. And then I'm going to check it this way. So there's a little bit in that. So I'm going to tap that in. It's a little bit too much, so I'm going to have to get my packer and twist it out. Okay. Perfect. Absolutely spot on there. I'm going to put a little flick in the floor there. Again. Now, I'm going to put this screw in, and I'm not going to do the middle one. I'm going to wait until my door is swinging. And I'm going to tighten it up, but not over-tighten it. Okay, now, I have my frame in. You can tape it if you want, top, middle, and bottom, just to see if we're there or thereabouts. Okay, so there's a small bit in the middle. I'll adjust that later with my packer. And my bottom seems to be there or thereabouts. There's only a small bit in that. I might get away with it. Let's see what the door's like. Okay, so now I'm going to hang my door. Now, my door, as you're well aware, we've machined it all already. All the ironmongery is fitted on it already. So all I need to do is hang the door. So I'm going to put 2 hinges in each, 2 screws in each hinge, just to make sure it's right. And then when I have the door open and closing right and the frame fully adjusted, I'll fit the balance of the screws in the hinges, okay? So I'm going to get my door. And I'm going to get my top hinge in first. Just give it a little tap that it sits into it. There we go. That's it fitting in there. And again, because all my hinge route outs are machined and pre-drilled, I can screw the screw in gently at the start with my hand. That'll hold it nicely. A bar here. I'm going to push that door out and get my bar underneath it and line that up. Right. So that's my bottom hinge is now in. Do you think I can get a bloody screw out of my pocket? So there we go. That's my door hanging. 2 screws in each hinge. Just to get me going. Right, so that's my door fully hung. Now I'm just going to close the door over really quickly just to check the margins, and then we'll come back and we'll adjust the middle screws. Okay, so the margins are spot on. The only one I have a problem with is the lock side. So I'm going to adjust that now in a second. There's only a couple of mil in it. So this one here needs to be tightened up a tiny bit. So I'm going to tighten that up. That's it touching the frame now. And I'm going to put my screw in. I pulled in a little bit too much, so I'll just tighten it up again. There we go. This one I'm going to snug off. And this one, snug it off as well. Okay, that's good and solid. Now, there's a tiny bit in that, and my packer isn't touching it. So let me just have a look at that with my level. So there's a tiny bit in that level. I can see that from where I am here. I'm going to adjust this accordingly. So there's that now, perfect. No light getting through there, that's that perfect. So I'm going to put that screw in there and tighten that screw up. And that's my frame fully fitted. And all my fixings fitted. Snug the top one, snug the bottom one. Right, so that's my frame fully fitted now. So now I'm going to fit my receiver. Again, fully machined. Fully pre-drilled from in the workshop. So that there now is my frame fully fitted, my door fully hung, my door is fully ironmongered, and my receiver has been fitted in my frame. So as you can see, I now have the frame fitted and the door swinging. They were installed the exact same way as I showed you earlier with the single door and the single frame. So you can also see all the ironmongery is fitted. So I'm going to show you the READYDOOR receiver. So this is only a READYDOOR product. You can't buy this individually. It comes with a READYDOOR pack. It's a fully reversible faceplate. It's been designed for READYDOOR by ourselves. It's to allow that you have to do no machining. So there's no machining. You can choose to have your left door as your dead leaf or your right door as your dead leaf. And because this is fully reversible, it allows you to do that. So we've chosen to have the left door as our dead leaf. So I'm going to take the reversible receiver, and the big hole is what takes the tongue of the flush bolt. I'm going to put that on the left-hand side. I'm going to fit it accordingly. And again, everything's pre-drilled, everything's machined. You just have to put these 2 screws in. You're not going to get it any simpler unless I call around and do it for you. Right, so now my flush bolt marries up perfectly with my receiver, okay? My receiver for my door was done earlier with that, with my jig, and my handle was done earlier. So they're going to marry up perfect as well. They're both same height. So now you have a fully primed, fully machined, fully fitted double door from READYDOOR in record time. You're not going to get it any quicker. All that's left now is to fit the doorstop and the architrave, and that's done the exact same way as I showed you in the earlier video for the single door. So now that the door is hung, we're going to just fit the doorstops and the liner. The liner is required because this is a 5 1/4 inch wall. Doorstops and the liner are in the pack and they're fully primed. The only thing I had to do was I need to cut the head of the doorstop and the head of the liner just to make them fit, because they do come for a 34 inch door and we're fitting a 32 inch door. So now I'm going to fit the liner. So the liner comes in the pack again like the doorstop. The only thing I have to do with the liner is cut the head, okay? Because the head, again, is for a 34 inch door and this is a 32 inch door. So I'm going to keep the liner flush with the back of the frame, okay? That allows me to have my 1/4 inch margin down the side, okay? And then I'm going to nail my architrave on flush with my liner. So you don't really see the liner, it looks like a slight extension, okay? So I'm going to show you how that is. So we go with the head first. So it's the long side out, flush with the back of the frame, okay? That's now flush with my slab, okay? So I'm going to bang a nail on that. Go to the other side, nail. Okay, now I'm going to take my sides. Again, flush with the back of the frame. And again, you'd be using glue on this. This and your doorstop should be using glue. Flush with the back of the frame again. So I can keep my margin even the whole way down. Okay. And again, flush with the back of the frame. My 1/4 inch margin the whole way down the side. So now that I've nailed on all my liners, I'm just going to put the Architrave on. The Architrave isn't part of the pack, but I just wanted to show you how the Architrave works with the liner. So I pre-cut my Architrave already, so I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the miter. And it's not open. Just going to put a bit of glue on the miter. So I hold the liner flush. I hold the Architrave flush with my liner because I already have my 1/4 inch gap here. Okay, nail it on. And that's how you fit a ready door from start to finish in record time. And that is how you use the liner on the ready door with the Architrave to make it fully adjustable for a 3-inch, 4-inch timber stud or a 4-inch block wall. So that's how you hang a ready door. I'm Mark from Ready Door. Thanks very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the video. We're on all social media outlets, so tune in and watch any videos. Thanks, goodbye.